rethinking, reforming, renewing, rebuilding, reviving, etc., etc. And as you know, various people have said, and I find there are these 2 or 3 statements which were made by this gentleman, Mr. Hubert Reeves. I don't know who he is, but he is credited with this, that we are the most insane species. We worship an invisible God and destroy the visible God, and that is nature. And unaware that nature is the God that we are worshipping. Then of course you had Mahatma Gandhi. The earth has enough for every man's need, but for not greed. We have a Dalai Lama saying we have a responsibility to look after our planet. It's our only home. And finally, I think Mr. Barack Obama, what he said was really hit me to the core. We are the first generation to feel the effect of climate change, and the last generation who can do anything about it. Because if we don't do something about it, I think we will not have very many years to survive. I think with this I'd like to close, and if I can we show that, I just want to show you a small clip of a responsible traveler campaign. It will take half a minute. That campaign was widely publicized on social media, and what we have been requesting the Ministry of Tourism is to take it sound. What we've been requesting the Ministry of, can you just click the sound please?
वो माइक को ही इसका नजदीक कर दो यार।
म्यूट पर है।
We've been requesting the Ministry of Tourism. These were small clips made called the Responsible Traveller Campaign, aimed at the traveler.
वहाँ की फिजा खराब ना करें। हेलो नमस्कार आदाब, मैं हूं तरत अजीज और आपसे बात करने आया हूं रिस्पॉन्सिबल टूरिज्म के बारे में। रिस्पॉन्सिबल टूरिज्म वो होता है जब कोई टूरिस्ट बन के कहीं पर भी जाता है छुट्टी पर, तो वो एहतियात ये करते हैं कि वहाँ की फिजा खराब ना करें। यानी कि अगर आप समझिए पिकनिक पर चले गए, आप कचरा कूड़ा प्लास्टिक बॉटल्स वगैरह ऐसे नहीं फेंकेंगे, आप उसे बिल्कुल संभाल के कोई डस्टबिन में और कोई ऐसी जगह महफूज उसको छोड़ देंगे ताकि वहाँ की फिजा, वहाँ का एनवायरनमेंट खराब। ये ग्लोबल मूवमेंट शुरू हुआ है, आई एम अ रिस्पॉन्सिबल ट्रैवलर। आप जानना चाहते हैं इसके बारे में, तो हैशटैग है आई एम अ रिस्पॉन्सिबल ट्रैवलर। आप इस पर जाइए और ज्वाइन कीजिए, और इसके ज़रिए आप हमारी दुनिया, हमारी फिजा को एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत और खुशगवार दुनिया बनाइए ताकि आने वाली पीढ़ियाँ भी उसका लुत्फ उठा सकें।
So these were couple of friends who did it for us. They were opinion leaders or celebrities. But what we have been requesting is that the Ministry of Tourism should make these and take these at the national level in national media. We were only able to promote this on social media, but if you take it to the national level, it will make a lot of difference to bring about a change in the mindsets of people that I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rakesh Mathur ji, for a very deep insight into the sustainability and responsibility. In fact, the best takeaways which I have drawn from your address is that there is a relation between sustainability and responsibility. And Mr. Mathur has also raised the point of consumption. Now, this is one area which is generally not very well understood, or maybe not interpreted as one of the sources for sustainability. Mr. Mathur, would you like to mention something about this consumption? You mentioned that overconsumption is bad. So, could there be an optimal consumption, like you mentioned about the AC, running of the AC, and what a pertinent point. This happens all over the world. So, how can overconsumption affect the sustainability? If you can just throw some points on this point.
I can just give some examples on consumption. Imagine, it's very common for many five-star deluxe hotels to import a certain food item from a certain country. You must have heard that, a certain beef from, well, not beef anymore, but certain fish is imported from some country, some food items are imported, caviar is imported from Russia, pâté de foie gras is imported from France. Now just imagine the carrying capacity of bringing all this stuff from abroad, then storing it here, the carbon footprint that is created by this entire exercise. What we are saying is be local, eat local. Another example of consumption of resources, you walk into a super deluxe hotel and you have a beautiful bed and there are 5 cushions thrown on your bed. Now, if you are honest with what you're doing, every time a guest goes, you must wash the cushion covers. Now, my question is it really necessary to create so much of chemical affluence, to bring about so many chemical affluents into the system? Where is the line between luxury and comfort that we are drawing? And these are the few things on the consumption issue that I'm talking about. One can give many examples, but basically be local, eat local, try and draw a line between comfort and luxury, so that the carbon footprint is reduced, the affluence and the energy consumption is reduced.
Thank you, Mr. Mathur. Now I request our third and the last panelist, Dr. Saraswati, for his address, please. So, meanwhile, while Dr. Saraswati is making arrangements, I would like to highlight the second point, that sustainability and responsibility, how they are linked with each other. So, if everyone on this planet behave responsibly, whether they are travelers, whether they are citizens, engaged on roads and other places, so obviously the sustainability aspect will automatically come. And what are the parameters for being responsible? Like what Mr. Mathur had mentioned so nicely about specific action plans. So if the whole the world knows what are the do's and don'ts to maintain sustainability, they can be responsible to the extent of those points, and ultimately the result would be that this earth would be more and more sustainable. Dr. Saraswati's presentation is ready, so I request you to please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Josia. I am actually not a tourism professional, nor I have any relationship with tourism. However, after visiting the islands a number of times, I thought maybe we could have some sort of projects from the FAST side where we can contribute to the development of infrastructure and at the islands. In fact, Government of India has taken a number of initiatives lately in the last couple of years in developing infrastructure in both the archipelagos, the Lakshadweep Islands and the Andaman Nicobar Islands, to boost up the commercial activity and also to support the development of tourism infrastructure in both the groups. So, this presentation is basically to propose some projects which could contribute towards the development of tourism in the archipelagos. We have two groups of islands. One is the Lakshadweep Island, the other is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I will just touch upon the basic parameters. Lakshadweep Island it's a group of 36 islands, out of which only 10 are inhabited. 26, there is no population. The total land area of all these islands is about 32.62 square kilometers. And Andaman Nicobar Islands have 836 islands, out of which 31 are inhabited. So there is a vast difference between the physical size of the two archipelagos. Whereas Lakshadweep Islands, we have a very little land area, but we are blessed with about 4,200 square kilometers of lagoon area, which I am proposing to sort of exploit for developing some tourism activities. Also, the population per square kilometer in Lakshadweep Island is 2,149 as on 2011 census per square kilometer, whereas in Andaman Nicobar Island it's only 46. That means there is a scope of developing land-based activities in Andaman Nicobar Island, but in Lakshadweep Islands, land-based activities, there is absolutely no scope. As it is overcrowded. And plus, to conserve the nature, they are not permitting any further constructions also. So that is one thing. Another thing which is quite strange is that the literacy rate at both the archipelagos is very high. Whereas in Andaman Nicobar Island, the literacy rate is 86.63. The literacy rate in Lakshadweep Island is 92.3, which is significantly higher than the whole country. Third important thing which is going to affect any development activities in these archipelagos is the seismic activity. Now, Bureau of Indian Standards classify earthquake-prone regions into classification zones, with Zone 1 the minimum, the least prone, to Zone 5 the most prone to earthquakes. Now, whereas Andaman and Nicobar Islands is in Zone 5 and Lakshadweep Islands lie in Zone 3, means we have to take care of these natural phenomena also when we are planning any activity. So taking these into account, I have suggested some projects to meet the common tourist expectations. Now, forgetting about these the expectations which have been recorded by Niti Aayog, the major thing is that these islands, they have minimal amount of commercial activity, and the tourism activity expectations are absolutely different. A tourist's expectation is absolutely different from those of a business traveler. So we have to specifically design the projects in such a way that they are oriented towards meeting the expectation of a leisure traveler. So first project which I have proposed is development of civil enclaves. This gives a brief statistics of the 7 airfields which we have in the two archipelagos, that is the Andaman Nicobar and the Lakshadweep. Port Blair has a fully developed airport with a passenger carrying capacity of 1200 passengers, 600 domestic and 600 international. So it is fully equipped and very recently upgraded also. Similarly, Agati also has been recently upgraded with the construction of a new terminal building to handle 50 departure and 50 arrival passengers. Rest of the islands, that is the Campbell Bay, Car Nicobar and Diglipur or Shivpur, they do not have any passenger handling facilities, though some limited number of Pawan Hans operations are there, but the passengers are just taken to the helicopter and the arriving passengers are just taken out. There is absolutely no provision of passenger handling facilities. So in my personal opinion, because these Pawan Hans operations are likely to be replaced with the fixed wing operations, we have adequate infrastructure available at all the airports to handle fixed wing operations. So we should consider to have some civil enclaves in these remaining 3 airports. That is Campbell Bay, Car Nicobar and Diglipur. Minicoy, the airport is proposed, it is still not in operation. So there also, after the airport gets commissioned, we should have a civil enclave to handle the civil traffics also. Second proposal is regarding the base for the seaplane operations. Ministry of Civil Aviation is set to introduce seaplane services by 2024 in Lakshadweep. Niti Aayog recommends introduction of seaplane connectivity in Swaraj Dweep, that is Havelock Island in Andaman Nicobar, Shaheed Dweep, Nail Island, Hutt Bay and Long Island for better and faster interconnectivity. Now, there is a guidance on seaplane operations available in ICAO APAC document details are given. Guidance for seaplane operation under RCS UDAN provides general information on the seaplane operations. So maybe in sync with the start of seaplane operations by UDAN, under UDAN, we can think in terms of developing the seaplane bases at the islands. So this is the second proposal. Third is hospitality management institutes. Islands need a different type of hospitality management program. The issues are different. The patrons are different, whereas the on land, the hospitality basically deals with the business travelers or the commercial travelers. At the islands, the travelers are mostly going to be the leisure travelers, and their requirements are going to be totally different. So we need to have 2 hospitality management institutes, one each for Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the second for Lakshadweep. In addition to the prescribed syllabus, the training should be oriented towards the site-specific requirements. The Lakshadweep has different type of requirements as compared to the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Participation of specialized hospitality industry leaders like Taj Groups or ITC or maybe JW Marriott also can be associated with this development of the institutes. There are some reputed hospitality management, international management institutes like the École Hôtelière de Lausanne, Switzerland, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Swiss Hotel Management School, again in Switzerland, Les Roches International School of Hotel Management, Switzerland. So they provide, yeah, I'm finishing. The fourth is water villas. Water villas, they need still and stable water conditions, and hence the siting criteria is very critical. More than 4,000 square kilometers of lagoon area is available in Lakshadweep, and they are ideal for the implementation of this project. Niti Aayog has recommended construction of these villas at Kadamat, Minikoy, Suheli at a total project cost of rupees 800 crores. This is 2015 estimate. And depending upon the site availability, we could consider to have overwater bungalows supported on stilts or floating villas where we do not have the firm seabed. So, thank you very much. That was my proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Saraswati. You are definitely an expert in the aviation sector, and particularly you have handled many airports. I have a question, Dr. Saraswati. We hear a lot about the aviation industry, to be the biggest polluter, especially the airlines. And this is a global issue. Now, there are international flights coming into India similarly. So it's, what is the way out? Is there anything which requires, maybe blending of the air turbine fuel with something else? Can you apprise the audience as to what is the way forward to reduce this pollution level?
Well, it's definitely an issue. There are some experimentations going on. I think some states have already started using ethanol for the aviation turbines as the fuel. And plus another significant activity which is related to my profession is that with the development of global navigation systems like GNSS, global navigation satellite systems, etc., the routes are being shortened. And also the polar routes have been started. So they will reduce the overall consumption of fuel. And plus there is an inherent development of technology to reduce the fuel consumption in the turbine itself. So all these steps are being taken simultaneously to reduce the pollution to the extent possible.
Thank you, Dr. Saraswati. So friends, we are short of time, but before I ask the audience to put one or two questions, I have a common question to all the panel members here. I would like to have comments and responses of each of you on this point, whether, should government, whether state government, central government, facilitate easy access to capital and with subsidized interest rates to those investments which are considered to be green investments for tourism enterprises. Mr. Mathur, what is your take on that?
I think yes. Number one, we will have to establish a very, very rigid criteria for what is a green establishment. And I think there are some examples of some problems.